We're on, yep.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. He's still working good in building
Yes,
here.
it does.
Uh-huh.
Want it open?
Have to go back to the short sleeve shirt.
Alrighty.
Everything's good on the agenda?
Sure.
Okay.
Any changes, anybody?
Make a motion to approve it. Second.
We got first and second on approval of the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Approve the minutes from January 25th.
The only thing that needs to be, and it isn't necessary or has to be, but, on my, meeting, it says attend CSS, it should be CSS,
Oh,
then, yeah, so it just,
it should be what?
should be CSS.
CSO.
Social Services.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're fine, and then, the Iowa Workforce Development State meeting and, Area 5 meeting, those are just turned around, just flip-flop them. The, 21st was the Area 5, and then the state one was, 22nd. Other than that, I'll make a motion to make those changes, accept it.
Second.
Oh, very good. A second by Bruce. All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Motion carries. General public concerns.
Nobody beating down the door.
Nobody on Zoom that I can see. Okay, moving on. Is John...
John on board
He's
here.
on there.
Okay.
Yep, the top.
Hey there, good morning, John.
Morning, everybody.
Put this
You're
thing
here
out, right?
to discuss
Yes.
our Reasoner Dam presentation on safety. Well, we'll turn it over to you, and you can let us know what your...
Todd is here also.
Yeah.
Hi, John.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Yeah, thanks for having me this morning. I believe, as you know, Stantec is working with our DNR Water Trails program to look at doing a study on kind of the future of the dam and the lake, kind of what'll be best, in the future for the community, the county as a whole, maybe down the line here, and I'll also introduce Casey Welty, who's our, lead engineer for the dam safety program. I'm, as you know, John Garrett, I'm the supervisor of the floodplain and dam safety section currently. And we were kind of asked to just give you a quick overview this morning, just because it's really common that there can be confusion about the dam safety program and dam ownership and liability and those sorts of things, especially with our river dams throughout the state. They're usually constructed on public waters, and that a lot of times provides some confusion of, well, state owns, they take care of these, what is the responsibility, those sorts of things. So, in conjunction, since that study's going on, I thought it was good to kind of give you just a quick update or, reminder of what it means to own these dams. And so I've prepared a little, handout, for you all. Do you guys have that?
Yep, yeah, we do.
Okay, great. So, and I can just kind of run through that real briefly, and then we're really here for questions as well. If you guys have any, that has some misconceptions about things, I'm happy to address those, but otherwise I'll just kind of skim through that. It's sort of obviously kind of a serious type of handout because, it deals with a serious subject, but I do want to kind of highlight that the dam safety program is here to be sort of a partner to dam owners and help them to keep dams as safe as we can. So just to confirm, we've got the records show that the county conservation board actually owns the dam, which obviously places it in your guys' responsibility. So what does that mean when you own a dam? You know, that's also outlined in Iowa Administrative Code, that there is responsibility to maintain those in a safe condition, and regularly inspecting them, having assessments completed, those sorts of things. So that's all outlined in that code I provided. Some unique things for low-head dams would probably be, since they are concrete structures, and that kind of ties into the second question too. Do we inspect it? We don't normally inspect these low-head dams.
We froze up.
Taller, takes more water when it's failed. But common things to watch for is really concrete deterioration and then ultimately undermining through scour. It's probably one of the most things, and that's sort of a hidden hazard too. So that can just progress over years without really knowing the soil slowly being washed out or the rock foundation of the dam. So something to keep an eye on. And of course, you know that as the owner of the dam, there is liability that comes along with the dam. We're to wash out. You know, this one's about 13 feet tall, so we don't expect a huge. Kind of depends on the conditions that it would fail. If the steep roughness is already a flood event, it washes out. It might not have a big event as far as flood impacts. But as you all know, one of the primary concerns with the dam is the sediment behind it. That washes out. There will be potential liability. And a lot of this applies to the Rutland Dam as well. I believe that that's kind of really, I guess, in a nutshell, what I was kind of asked to come and just give you guys a little refresher on. Like I said, we're here to answer questions. We're here to work with you. But ultimately, that responsibility falls on the county, especially with any kind of required structural inspections. We don't have the staff to go out and do structural evaluation, photography report, repair costs, and sort of the same thing with the scour potential. That's one of the most common things. If you guys come out and it's like, well,
Yeah.
we can do a visual inspection, but those more detailed ones have 5-10 years. We don't know of any specific concerns. We're not here to say it is failing or it does have a specific issue that we're here to tell you guys to work on it. It's really just a reminder of the ongoing responsibilities. And eventually, and in conjunction with this study, is that, yeah, the dam is going to take ongoing repairs, fixes over the years. So, as a statewide program, like I said, Nate Hogan, you might have probably talked to you guys before you heard his name. He works a lot of times with these low-head dams.
What was that gentleman's name again? What was that gentleman's name again?
Nate Hogan.
Okay.
And he's on our, the DNR, as you probably know, is split into kind of two divisions, right? We have our conservation and recreation division, which covers our hunting, fishing, water trails, parks, and then our kind of environmental services division. So we're sort of the regulators, and Nate sits on the con and rec side, so they get some funding to actually do some studies for, helping water trails, helping mitigate these low-head dams that, as you know, also do provide a risk to the public. Just even when they're in great condition, they provide, or they can be a risk to the public with drowning, hazards, those sorts of things. So there's also a movement nationwide to do better things with these low-head dams, better signage, better safety features, those sorts of things. The standard of care for these is also sort of slowly going up,
parts that I wanted to ask.
Todd, do you have anything to add? And, I mean, you have just, assuming you kinda had him come to give us this explanation.
He wanted to come.
Oh, okay.
This is not my responsibility.
Okay.
I'm not responsible for this. I was with Bruce, I was gonna ask him about the sediment, how the DNR felt about.
Well, no one's blaming you for anything.
Yeah, but
I just wanted to know if you had
I'm
any...
not in the loop on this either.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't send an invite out.
I didn't, I mean, I thought, so he kinda took it upon himself to explain this to us.
Mimi Wagner, the lady that is kinda facilitating.
Facilitating the whole thing, probably talk to him.
Suggested that he come and talk to you guys to make you aware of
Mhm.
liability and responsibility.
Well, this is a pretty good handout,
Yeah,
it
there's
pretty
a lot
well
of
spells it out.
Yes, yep. So I don't have anything to add, I was like, I
Okay.
was gonna ask about the sediment, I was gonna ask too, our last study or underwater inspection was in 2016. When would he recommend us doing another one?
I thought you said 5 to 10
He did
years.
5 to 10.
Didn't he mention that?
I thought that's what I'd heard.
It's time to probably start looking at doing another one, I'm guessing, but that's all I had for him.
Well, I'd just like to know that ditch 35 that comes down across by the hospital, that dumps in past Fairway, that's 5 foot above with dirt, that the water has to get so high to go over. How, I mean, at what point do we think that that's holding our water back? And really don't have any way of doing anything, because technically the DNR is in charge of all that. We're here, Sandy, I don't know, it must've went down again.
Okay. We need to get a hold of the police and see why this is happening all the time.
It appears it's, we lose internet.
Yeah, the internet looks like it's, connections or something's gone.
Okay.
But anyway, with that, Todd, that's my question is how, because I don't know if it's restricting the water or holding the water in that, as it goes up the dredge ditch. We'll never know.
Sure it is, Dan. I mean,
Yeah.
it's an obstruction, and it's backing up.
If we had it anywhere else, we'd hire somebody to go out and clean that out, access out to let the water flow. That's our job.
And I have discussed that with Mimi and Nate Hoogaby, so they're aware of that.
Yeah, I think, 'cause that's one of our biggest concerns.
Depending on what direction we end up going.
John,
That'll be addressed.
everybody else is here on the line.
For now.
They can hear you. Do you guys have any questions for John?
I think.
Is he on the phone yet?
Yeah, he's on the Zoom. I got it. Can you guys hear? Yeah, I got my speakerphone next to my speaker on my computer so they can hear you.
All right. John, our biggest question here is, that, drainage, we have a ditch, number 35, that comes down next to, near the hospital, that comes across Highway 3 and then dumps, behind Fairway there. And the sediment is so high that it has to get almost like a moat. It has to go up over the dirt in order for that dirt, or in order for that water to flow to the river. And I guess our question is, at what point, can we talk to somebody about opening that access up so that we can get our water to flow out of that?
Are you talking about what do you mean by opening up the access? That's the gate at the dam itself?
No, I'm talking about the dirt, the sediment that's in behind the dam. If you ever get up here and take a look at that, the geese have pretty much taken that, it's like a little island that sits out there, and it's just mud. And our water has to go up over, it has to rise up high enough to go up over that dirt pile to come out of that ditch. And we aren't allowed to touch anything along the river, right?
I missed that last part.
I said we...
We're not allowed to anything along the, river. I think it's like an island. Are you talking about the island, Bruce?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's turned into a huge island.
Well, it's a big sandbar.
yeah, it's like a sandbar.
Blocks our
Yeah, like a
access.
round, yeah.
Pretty nice.
So dredging is allowed, removal of sediment, could be allowed, it would be a regulated activity, so we would have to permit it. So you can put a request either to clean out sediment at the outlet of the tile itself, or, yeah, if we wanna look at, with that gate opening, help the situation, that's something we can work with you on. If, like I said, we would just have to see what environmental impact we have. So that's
At our
something
cost?
that certainly be sent in, we can evaluate it.
At our cost?
Probably.
That's their river.
Have you ever heard of anybody paying for something?
Thank you.
I don't know.
And who's, and who's,
I'm gonna say that was do background noise. Looks like you got it.
Maybe.
yeah, John, do you know at whose cost that would be to dredge that?
You guys are muted.
How do I?
Down below.
There you are, buddy.
Thanks, Ben.
Yep. You hear us?
Yes.
Okay. So, John, what it is, it's basically a big sandbar that develops in the early season, and then when the water goes down, it just turns into a sediment dam that blocks the outlet of our District 35 drainage district. And at whose cost is that to remove that sediment? If we do get a permit, even.
That would be up to whoever wants to pay for it. Again,
Well, obviously, the DNR won't pay for it.
Obviously not.
We don't obligate you to remove that, there's no requirement from us to say, hey, the county is responsible for this. They have to remove it, that would be, and I think there has been lawsuits in the past that would all have to be answered that way. Like I said, we would just be more of looking at, granting approval to do that work, so I can't tell you who wanna pay for it.
I have a idea.
Yeah, I got a good
I'm pretty sure
idea.
we all
I
have
get
the idea.
the drainage district,
Yeah.
just like
Okay.
Bruce mentioned, dredge ditch clean out, obstruction removal, district's gonna pay for it. And you get a permit from the DNR to do it.
But the problem is you remove that so that the water can flow out, the next time the water's high, it's gonna shove more sand into that location, it's gonna be a never
It doesn't go
ending.
anywhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a good outlet.
Never-ending battle. So, well, thanks for giving us the information you did, John. As to,
Check on the 10, is it 10 years you said for,
yeah, you mentioned it was 5 to 10 years they suggest doing an underwater
review?
Inspection?
Inspection.
Yeah, that, and probably someone, an expert in structural concrete as well, that could go hand in hand, like any consultant firm usually
Yeah.
do a structural evaluation, could hire a diver as well and give you an overall, how, does it need some concrete repairs there that are undermining. But yeah, that would be a good, frequency, unless there's a, history of no problem.
there isn't, is there? No, we haven't had any past problems with the structure of the dam, so, okay, well, you can move
Do
on.
you have any names, John, that we can contact someone about possibly moving some of that dirt if we had the proper permits?
Not off the top of my head as far as dredging companies.
No, I mean,
No,
in the
I mean that we
DNR,
contact.
who do we contact through the DNR for the permitting part?
Oh, that could go through, you can start with me.
Okay, great.
Could we send you pictures of it?
Well, we would do, have you heard of our joint application process?
Yes.
We have a new online system, but it basically, you fill out a form one time and you can attach pictures to any plans. That
All right.
will go to floodplain, sovereign land, sovereign land, state-owned bed, and then the Corps of Engineers too, to see if they would have any, they would have regulatory authority, it might fall under a regional permit or something.
Okay.
Okay,
So that's, one application covers, pretty much everybody.
All right.
All right, well, thank you for the information, and, we'll, keep an eye on our dam.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Okay, Shelley's Auto.
Shelley's up there.
Have you got anything else?
No, I don't.
Yeah, it'll probably be about,
Good morning.
10:30, 11:15.
Okay.
Keep an eye on the dam, Dan.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, Shelley, hi
Hi,
there.
good morning. Hi. So I am Shelley Zabel. I'm here from Community and Family Resources, and each year we do a update as to what we've been working on in Humboldt County for, prevention. And, we do a funding request for the following fiscal year. So I'm going to just jump in here, and you guys can let me know if you have any questions. The Integrated Provider Network is from Iowa Department of Public Health, and that's our largest grant as far as prevention goes. They have continued to focus on training for the prevention workforce throughout the state and utilizing the strategic prevention framework in our local counties. And that's just a framework to identify issues and strategies to help solve those problems or issues that might be present, or strengthen things that are going well. One of the steps in that is the triathlon community readiness, which we did our first step last year, or well, it was this year. It's taking longer to get through the steps. IDPH is, COVID has slowed everyone down, so they haven't moved as quickly as they had anticipated through this with us. But that was 6 different interviews with community members on the priority areas of adult prescription misuse, and that's 65 and older, adult problem gambling, adult binge drinking, youth marijuana use, and tobacco use in youth. So it was actually 6 interviews in each of those substances. And then my staff went back and scored it individually, came together, and then if there were big differences in what each of them scored, there were 2 scorers. They would come to a consensus on a score. And then those scores give us a readiness level, and it's a readiness level for prevention within the county. That is going to help us to determine what strategies are going to be a best fit, and it's going to give us some ideas on how to increase readiness level. And so if you guys would like that information, I'd be happy to have someone come up and do a presentation with you on that. The next step is to continue on with collection of local data for a county community assessment workbook. So that's what my staff are working on currently. It's a lot of detail, getting down to the county level. So, some of the presentations that we've done over the past year at Your Life Iowa, I'm sure you guys have seen that. There's a lot of little pop-ups every time you're online. And it's IDPH's kind of one-stop shop for information and gives a lot of resources for people looking for help. We did some driver education on drunk driving, presentation on bullying, of course opioids, marijuana, tobacco and vaping, and then we did have Too Good for Drugs scheduled, but that was right at the beginning of COVID-19. So that, and that was when the schools were still working on how they were going to deliver classes. So, we'll be contacting them. I think everyone is now experts on Zoom, so we haven't gone back to that yet, but I think it will be helpful to have that available. Also, medication-assisted treatment is being offered. That is, you know, the short version of that is MASS, is what we call it, and that's for opioid use. And with that, they're offering some recovery support services. So it might be like a gas card to help them get to their dosing, because oftentimes people will have daily dosing once they've been in the program for a while and done well, then they will do take-homes for people, so they don't have to be driving from, say, Humboldt to Fort Dodge on a daily basis to get that. And so that's open 6 days a week, the MAC clinic is, and it's right inside of our new building there in Fort Dodge. We also have another one that is in Ames area too. So if people are working out of the area, they can get it in both of those locations, and then if they're even working further than our area, United Community Services does have, I believe, 20 of these MAC clinics co-located within some of the treatment facilities. So they've tried to make it a little easier for people. We also have available mental health first aid, that's available to anyone that wants it. We've done unsolicited classes, so people can register online. It's on our Facebook, but that is only available at no cost through the end of September, and that was a sales agreement that is going to be coming to an end. So the county funding that we're currently using is just to support prevention efforts and training, and needs to fall outside of the IPN grant. We're requesting again $7,200 in FY22 for staff time, supplies, and travel. And then I did include just a little bit more here about treatment. We do still have a counselor that is available in Humboldt. Of course, they're taking precautions. And she's there on Wednesdays. And then I just included a few of the things that were out of our annual report that are very relevant to Humboldt. 3% of the people served in treatment came from Humboldt County last year. That was the same the previous year. And then we do still have our residential treatment open, and withdrawal management is also open, but they've limited the number of beds that are available, and they have precautions in place so that, you know, everyone is masked, spacing is adequate. So we've dropped down from 22 beds to 16 available on both men's and women's units, because that's what's safest. And then they do fever checks and monitor people as they come in, things like that. And then we still do have our on-site school for adolescents in residential treatment, and that remains open. Does anyone have any questions for me? Oh, and then, sorry, I forgot. I did include a chart for you guys, because I think that this is important, and I think it's nice for people to see. But out of the people that came for treatment last fiscal year, there were 1,494 addiction treatment admissions into CFR, and the primary drug of choice last year was alcohol at 40% and methamphetamine at 36%. And that's, of course, not just Humboldt, that is everyone that we saw. And the previous year, methamphetamine was a little bit higher than alcohol. So, and marijuana was 19%. That was our other highest.
So, compared to last year, is the marijuana about the same then, and the...
I believe it is, yes.
Okay.
I think we'll see that changing. It is very confusing with all the different changes in the states around us, and I think that we'll see that continue to increase.
But two of the drugs that are illegal with meth and marijuana, somewhat, and alcohol is, you can go buy it, and that's the hardest one to keep, basically. We struggle with young kids getting hold of alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah, it's legal.
And it's legal, yeah.
Yeah, people don't often see
All right,
Okay, if you got any questions for... Well, thank you very much for your presentation, and we'll keep your request in mind when we go through our budgets, and, you have a good day. I'd say drive safely, but you don't have to, so.
Thank you.
thanks. Yep.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, a few minutes after 9, we're gonna look at, public hearing, second reading on the amendment ordinance number 67, mailbox replacement.
Motion to open public hearing.
Second.
The motion to open the public hearing, all in favor?
Aye, 9:05.
Thank you, Cindy, I heard that, all right, motion carries, public meeting is open, discussion on the amendment ordinance number 67, mailbox replacement. I believe, Ben, we've discussed it pretty heavily.
Yep, we discussed it
Published
last
it.
week, published it in the paper. It's basically closing a loophole from, an old ordinance that we had before that just replaced the mailboxes with a standard size.
Yeah.
Now we will replace, once this passes, we will replace with the similar size mailbox.
Of the standard box.
Of the standard box, yeah. So if it's ornamental and
If it
everything
looks
else.
like Kirky, we're not gonna replace it at all.
Right.
No.
Exactly, we would never do that.
I deliberately hit those.
Come on, Kent. Now, we can't go clear off the beaten path here.
But if it was even ornamental, and it's whatever size, you get a replacement mailbox.
You would get a replacement mailbox of the same
Like
size.
size.
On a standard 4x4 post at the
Yes.
correct height that the post office requires.
All that good stuff, but, yeah, we just missed that when we redid the ordinance.
When we originally created the ordinance, it was going from not replacing any mailboxes to
Put a standard
putting a
mailbox.
standard size mailbox up. But like you guys have said, with the number of packages that are being delivered, through the postal service and FedEx and UPS, more and more, there's more and more of a need for
Yeah,
larger
and
mailboxes.
the post office are encouraging larger boxes.
Yes, and so people have them, and we just, like, that, there was a loophole, it was just a misnomer. We should have been right size, standard mailbox from the get-go, but we fixed it.
So there was no complaints through your office or yours? No, no,
We haven't heard any complaints.
I haven't either.
No, no one even mentioned it.
Motion to close public hearing.
Second?
All in favor to close public hearing?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion to approve the second reading of Humboldt County Amendment Ordinance number 67, mailbox replacement. Roll call vote.
Get a second?
Second.
Okay, this is an ordinance number 67, Bruce Reimers.
Aye.
Sandy Loney.
Aye.
Dave Lee.
Aye.
Eric Underberg.
Aye.
Rick Peterson votes the same, aye. So the second reading has passed.
I would make a motion to waive the third reading of the ordinance.
Have a motion on the floor for the
Second
third
that
reading.
motion.
Get a second from Bruce. There again, we need a roll call vote. Bruce Reimers.
Aye.
Sandy Loney.
Aye.
Dave Lee.
Aye.
Eric Underberg.
Aye.
Rick Peterson votes aye, so it's unanimous, motion carries. Ordinance number 3 is in place. Or ordinance number 67, excuse me, not 3.
We did.
Okay, third reading of it.
Thanks, Dan, for all this.
Yeah, hopefully that'll straighten things out for people.
Make it simpler.
Keep it simple.
Yep,
Let's just not knock them over and then we won't have them.
that'd be great.
If we don't have any
As long as we don't
snow.
have any more snow.
There you go, we're good.
Yeah. Somebody's gonna get cold.
Yeah.
It looks like we got some projects to award.
Yes, so I've included, bid tabs. Louise, you should have copies of them. I don't know how legible they are.
Pretty legible.
The first item that I've got is to award the contract for project DROS-CO46 parentheses 74, double dash SE dash 46. This would be Bridge 10, southeast of Thor. It would be to award the contract to Whiteman Inc. of Dow's, Iowa for $103,125.50.
Where were we projecting that, and was it in the,
My budget was $120,000,
so we're good,
so we're 15 below.
we like that?
I have a question. Well, that sounds great, there's no question on that contract. Do we have to do these individually, or can they all be lumped together?
This one is individual, the rest of them can all be lumped together.
For this one then, I would make a motion to approve contract, C 04674, SE 46, for the, you said $103,125.50?
Yep.
Make that motion.
To Whiteman, Inc.
Vitamins Incorporated.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we're gonna move on to these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other ones that are, looks like they're awarded to the same company.
Yes, so this is one contract for all 5 projects. They were all tied together to give us the best price for the county. And it was the best price. I went back in our numbers and we paid similar prices back in 2006.
That's good then.
And
So
this is to,
this would be to Matthew Construction. They're out of Onalaska, Wisconsin. They recently purchased Fort Dodge Asphalt. I don't know which crew is gonna be coming in doing the work, if it's gonna be indeed Matthew or if it will
they
be...
purchased, whatnot, yeah.
Right.
But still gonna be quote unquote local.
But it, yeah, yep.
And so these are all
Little paving projects.
So these are...
overlayments? Was there anything different in these then?
These are a profile mill with a 3-inch overlay. So they're gonna get rid of some of our tire rutting by milling the surface and creating a 3-inch, 3% grade, and then putting 3 inches of asphalt over the top for most all of these. So you got 78, 79, and 80, those 3 projects are, the 6 miles of Clare Road, P29, 3.5 miles of Gotch Park, from the Gotch Park Bridge north, into town, down at the bottom of the hill. We're gonna stop where that stop sign's at the bottom of Forts Hill.
Mhm.
And then a 1 mile stretch on the east side of Pioneer. That 1 mile
Got a
stretch.
question, is that stop sign at the bottom hill, is that part of the city then?
That's part of city, yeah. So we'll have city funding.
That part,
Yep.
okay.
City funding, for that stretch, there's about a mile that's inside city limits, so they'll be paying their portion. The 1 mile stretch of Delaware Avenue on the east side of Pioneer. The local projects are the 2 mile stretch, down on the county line. That'll be cost shared with Webster County on 280th southeast of Pioneer. We call it the Pioneer Loop. And, the 3/4 of a mile stretch of drag strip. That'll be getting a 2-inch overlay.
Oh,
That'll be nice.
nice. Well, when you say 3% slope, that just means
The
the
crown.
crown of the road.
Yep, yeah, that's pretty
That's,
standard.
yeah, that makes sense. You want the water sitting on the road. Well, do we need to list these separately, or can we just?
I think we can lump these together.
I just like, whether we need to read them, I mean, I can read all the numbers, but I would make the motion to approve said contracts as listed to, this is, Matthew Construction, Alaska, Wisconsin, for all of the aforementioned paving projects.
We have a first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Good work.
Is there a timeframe on them, Ben, for
This year.
completion?
We'll do the award, then we send all the paperwork electronically to them for signatures of the contract and to get their subcontractors all in line. And then we'll formally approve the contracts when we get them back to us. And at that point, they can start as soon as the weather's fit. But I have no timetable. I know Whiteman mentioned that this was gonna be one of his first jobs of the year. So his will probably be still in this fiscal year, but the paving could be anytime between now and the end of August.
End of August or so?
Sure, the box will be determined on high water marks.
Yep.
Good.
Mention, with this overlay one we just approved, potential of any other projects while we're here.
Yeah, so I talked to the DOT, and they're gonna get back to me. They think it's as simple as just doing an extra work order for additional quantities, assuming that the contractor is open to it.
You'll visit with them about that.
Right, once, I can't technically talk to them until we have signed contracts.
Right. But once you do, you will.
Yeah.
Yep, perfect.
We'll talk to them about adding some work.
Perfect, as we had previously discussed. Excellent. All right, yeah, looks good.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
thanks, Ben.
Thank you, Ben.
All right, well, we got just a little bit before we visit with Ann, so we're gonna drop down to the bottom here and... Okay. Approved for filing and publication of the calendar year 2020 salary report for the Iowa Code section 349.3182B. And that's something that we have to do, is publish all in the paper, I do believe. Is that right?
That is a very good question.
Yes, it is.
Um,
It's a mandatory thing.
Okay, so,
I would make a motion to approve the filing for the 2020 salary report for Iowa Code 349-182B.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, now we discussed last week about, adding another death investigator to the county. What was his name, Steve, I think?
No, Sam.
Sam.
mhm.
Did we get any feedback?
Is there an email on the very back of yours? I'm not sure. Behind your budget, possibly. I spoke to Dave Rizika, he emailed back, and I asked him what the difference between a coroner and death investigator, and
I think I got one.
I
here.
was a medical examiner state. He is a medical examiner, and the rest of them under him are medical or death investigators. And he said right now it's Kenny Borland and Mike Sexy as death investigators, and if approved, it would add Sam Sexy,
Does he get paid extra except for, all the time, or just when he's doing a job?
just when he's doing the investigation.
Okay.
And it doesn't look like there's any fees, because he's already had the training and the certification.
Mhm.
Sounds like he did that all on his own. The other two are busy, then if we approved, Sam, then, we're just gonna get correct, Tricia?
Correct.
My question is, do we need them?
Dave said what I was thinking, I mean, for the questions, which are good questions, and the way that it's set up, I don't really think we have a need for an extra person.
Well, the thing is Mike happens to be out for 2 weeks on a vacation, you just can't,
There's two, though.
yes, there is two.
If Kenny's on a call, and he can't, say something happens where Kenny's unavailable, It's not gonna cost us anything unless we use them.
Yeah, if we use them, we're just not paying the other ones.
As long as that, we're understanding that correctly, and it's a per
Per
case
case
basis,
basis.
per person, and there's no additional cost to have them on staff, if you will. But I kinda agree with Dave, I don't know that there's a big need for it. We never heard a request from anyone that we're short of death investigators, and thankfully, we don't have a big need for that, thank gosh.
Well, I guess my feeling is if this Sam is able to be trained, I mean, I'm sure you take the classes and you do whatever, but you still need some type of work as to doing it firsthand. That would be and with Kenny, and I'm not saying anything about Kenny's age, but I'm guessing he's probably getting towards wanting to walk away from some of his requirements. I wouldn't have a problem having him on as long as it isn't a $25,000 expense that we're gonna incur.
I'll make the motion to accept Sam Sexy as, investigator.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
I'm not in favor.
Okay. Oh, anyone opposed would be Eric.
D,
Okay, motion carries. So he will be added to the list to be on call.
Hope it don't cost the county.
Well,
Right.
it does cost you when they go out, but we won't be paying for,
Right.
we'll be paying one of the three. Okay. Alrighty.
If I dug through my papers one more time, Dave, I found it. It was stuck to another one.
Committee reports.
I had Tuesday night, 26th, we had our UDMO conference call, Zoom. All is well there. Other than I see my phone ring and they're calling. Thursday night, we had a CFR Zoom call, or Zoom meeting with, at 5 o'clock with, on the executive side, and then we had the 6 o'clock general meeting for, December and January, so all is moving forward in there. We'll talk later about that. That's all I had. And a reminder of tonight's meeting at 6.
Okay, on Monday the 25th at 1 PM, Dawn with Willow Hills had a meeting with both, via Zoom with Clarence and I, it was for Humboldt and, Humboldt and, Oklahoma. Just kinda going over, they have a agreement with, mental health, Woodbury and, Ida County. But anyway, there, Woodbury went with, Rolling Hills a few years ago, and, so they've lost some of the connectivity with this group, and so they're looking at, having a different facility. So basically, it's good, we're still gonna have the same services, it's just looking at having to get a different building, to house the facility. And so she wanted to update us on that because they were gonna have a meeting on that on the 28th. Parents participated in that, and I was not able to because on the 28th, I had a ISAC webinar, April. And then on the 27th, CSS, there was a governance meeting for CSS, and again, nothing new. They talked about trying to get, the legislature to, put the the session instead of the end of the session. We just all need to talk to our legislatures and see if they'll do that, so that if they get it before February 15th, then we'll be able to, possibly stick with the event by then. But that doesn't look possible.
The only way they'd do that, Sandy, is if it affected the Des Moines area.
I know, and that's what they said. That's what irritates me about this whole ruling is, everybody voted to have it, not knowing really what it all entails. And because it didn't affect them, they just voted yes. Like, really? I'm sorry, that one still chaps me a little bit. But, they created so much downfall from health. It's unbelievable. It goes to show you that when people don't know what they're voting for, what it does to everything. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. Rolling Hills, did, vote on the $59 levy, for the upcoming fiscal, the new fiscal year that we'll be budgeting for. So, we'll need a budget for, $39 per capita for, mental health. Region. And that is all I had.
That's all she had.
That's all she had, yeah.
Wednesday, 27th, had a Pathfinder Midas meeting, Zoom. And, Thursday, had a VA group claims in Humboldt. And the afternoon, I sat in on the ISAC's State Supervisors meeting. Had some stuff come up that sounded pretty interesting, so that's all I had.
All right, Thursday the 28th in the morning, I met with Don Reefer, Brush and Weed Control, finalized our program, come up with the number for the budget moving forward. That went really well. Also, then that afternoon, same as Dave mentioned, attended the virtual supervisor statewide meeting, which was interesting. I want to say that Barry Anderson from Clay County, president of ISAC, did a great job of moderating the meeting, and it went well for a virtual meeting. On Friday, the 29th, we moved the 911 service office from the LEC to the basement of the courthouse. And I'd like to thank everyone that helped in that movement. It went extremely well. So that's what I had officially last week.
Okay. During the week, I have had a couple of communications from Denise Bellard on health insurance. I'm trying to remember the date. I don't know if they put together the date of a Zoom meeting for our health insurance this year. They are looking to change our drug prescription plan back to what we had previously. We changed it because it was gonna save us some money 2 years ago, I believe. And now we've had some people in our groups that are having to pay for them drugs. There's they call them four-tier drugs, or tier 4 drugs, that weren't covered under this plan that we are on currently. And to go back to the old plan, they used to be quite a bit different, and now there's very little difference, like a 0.5%. So...
You get more coverage?
You get more coverage. Go back to what we had before, so these tier 4 drugs would be covered.
Covered under that.
Okay.
So it looks like that's gonna be one of the things that is gonna be discussed at the meeting, and I think I would vote in favor of that.
Yes.
For the little bit it's gonna cost, you're gonna get them prescriptions covered.
And it's not gonna cost that much more, not as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So it looks to me like that is one of the bigger things, and, I think I discussed earlier what we thought the raise in premium was gonna be, but that isn't a definite yet. So, and that's what I had this week. So, moving on, we got that done. Trish, do you have anything else for us? 'Cause we've got about 30 seconds.
I think there's a gallon out there.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I don't.
Okay. Hi, Ann.
Hello.
You're right on time, and we're on time, and... You can just sit back there unless you wanna come up here where there's
Table.
table.
I'm good right here.
Okay. Ann Thompson from Pocahontas Health Department, we're gonna discuss, possible sharing agreement for the sanitarium. I think that's what we've been doing for several years now.
Yeah. The last agreement that I could locate was from 2014. That was recorded in Pocahontas County. The previous one was updated in 2006 here in Humboldt County. So, my Board of Health would really like the support in hiring a full-time person. There was a lot of challenges. I just took on this role September 14th, and when I came on board, there were several complaints about servicing the taxpayers in Humboldt and Pocahontas counties. The position was only, the person was only working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and then nothing was getting done on Thursdays and Fridays, and if something needed to happen over the weekends, there was no on-call schedule or anything that was implemented at any time to cover that time frame. So my board feels that we could really utilize the position. There's a grant called Grants to Counties, and with the right motivated person, we could really promote water tests, well rehabilitation, well plugs, that's related to reimbursement from this Grants to Counties funds. In the last year, the two counties were awarded just a little over $60,000, and we were only utilizing half of that amount of money. We also have environmental health programs like Healthy Homes that really promote indoor air quality. The counties surrounding here are also working on implementing a tanning ordinance where the state rules have changed as far as inspections for tanning facilities, that each county could then adopt this ordinance and do tanning inspections based on county requirements. This person could also go to training to become a time of transfer inspector for both counties. There are people that do that privately already, but that would be another option. I've also been told that there are Farm Bureau programs that could be promoted in partnership with Farm Bureau, and also like trash and roadway programs. So there's a lot of availability. You know, spring, summer, and fall will be super busy for this position, and then in the downtime in the winter months, that's when really we could ramp up the additional programs in both counties. So, like I said, I've had several frustrated people since September 14th that were frustrated with not getting called back, and getting the things done that needed to happen.
But that was after Dave retired, correct?
That was before.
Before he retired.
He left the beginning of November without a notice.
Okay.
I'd like
You said there was
to,
a grant that wasn't fully utilized. Is that grant gonna go toward, his wage then? Is that what you're saying?
I believe that's the well closure grant you're referring to.
water test, rehabilitation, and well plug.
Yeah, and you can't get the grant unless you close the well, so, you know, the money might be there, but if you don't close the maximum number of wells, you're not gonna get all the money.
Gotcha.
It's based on a foreclosure that you get reimbursed by the state, I do believe.
Yes.
Okay.
So that could be why that grant wasn't fully utilized.
Well, it sounds like that grant is, yeah, specific to not only that, but certain practices or certain programs. So if you're not doing the testing, you don't get the money. You don't do the closure, you don't get the money. So,
Right.
I mean, that's nice to have it, but it's not a general
It's not money
grant.
you can get unless you do it.
Yeah, and it's not a general grant to go toward just paying the person.
Right,
is
you
paying
have
for
to
the
promote
service.
the programs
So,
in the county.
That's great
Yep.
to utilize that, but, I mean, it doesn't offset the cost of the full-time person.
Well, can I ask how much, Pocahontas paid towards his wages? I mean, we know what we paid last year in
The year
fees
before.
and the year before. I guess I'm kinda curious, you guys' proposal for what we have in front of us here, of what you're looking at offering a new person, is it gonna be a huge,
I mean, it's more than double what we've been paying.
Yeah.
That's my concern.
So we have been billing you guys $20 per hour, and at the top of the pay scale for this person, we have placed in a budget for $45,000, plus a family insurance plan, FICA and IPERS. The billing amount would go to $35 per hour.
But that's, we in Humboldt County, as I've stated, paid on a per-case basis
Previously.
previously.
Right.
Your request is,
Whatever service.
so your total estimated cost of a full-time person is?
73,384. Not that my math's good as here.
Okay, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
and that's my question, I just was wondering what you guys had already
Yeah.
paid him the last few years, or this person the last few years, so that, are you guys gonna be looking at doubling your cost, or, I mean, 'cause for us,
He was working 24 hours a week.
20 cents a month.
right,
3 8-hour days, and whatever, those 24 hours, whatever was not utilized in Humboldt County, Pocahontas County then paid for his time. It was then, if he had an additional 5 hours for that week in the office, that was paid by Pocahontas County, for a total of 24.
26.
And then Bruce brought up a good point, it's Pocahontas kind of doubling their cost.
Yeah, you know what your cost was that 24 hours times 20?
That's way,
I mean, 24, yeah, 24 hours a week times
What's the
20.
difference? What's the difference?
It'll go-
Because we
it would
pay
go.
for some.
Well,
They only
15,000.
deduct whatever we didn't pay of that 24 hours.
yeah, 'cause some of this,
well, I'm just having a hard time for us to be able to budget
wages.
Yeah.
from a difference of $16,000 to $17,000, what we've been paying
Yeah.
roughly, to go to $37,000.
Right, I agree.
I mean, I don't
I don't
know
know.
that we could afford to, we don't have that many,
I mean, I would think we'd get somebody part-time here in the county if we paid them $20 an hour plus mileage to go out and do these things.
Yeah.
Because they're fairly simple, most of them.
Well, are you proposing, where'd you come up with that $35 an hour?
So that would be the 45,000, which would be top of the pay scale for this new person, plus the insurance, the family insurance plan, and then FICA and IPERS. And remember too, that, you know, don't say that this position is easy, or this person has to have CEUs every year as well to keep doing these services. If Humboldt County wants to hire somebody part-time, we'll hire somebody part-time then in Pocahontas County, but, you know, there's a challenge there, and you're really constraining the amount of promotion for the environmental health programs. You're putting constraints on that. And there is training, and there's CEUs that are required every year for this position, so I want you to consider that as well.
I think we realize that it's just the double in cost for what we're gonna get out of it. You know, if what we've been doing has, been working for us, you know, maybe it would behoove us if we could find somebody else that would do the same, type of program. You know, you guys feel you need to, do a full-time, then, you know, fine, but, I don't think, I mean, personally, I'm not sure why we need to do that.
With the amount of workload, my board feels that a full-time person would be needed for both counties. You know, I'm perfectly fine with going back to my board and saying, let's move it back to a part-time position just for Pocahontas County. Because my office and myself have fielded calls since September 14th of unhappy taxpayers in Pocahontas and Humboldt counties that they were not getting the services from this environmental health position. And with the right motivated person, you could really, this position could shine in both counties.
How many unhappy Humboldt, I'm just curious, do you know how many calls you've gotten from Humboldt County versus Pocahontas?
We did not track that in our office.
Could we,
I know in the past, this is years ago, I would get calls from the local realtors if they weren't happy with the time frame. Because that's typically, sometimes is a holdup on a real estate deal, is getting a septic tank inspected or a well inspected or things like that. But I haven't had any calls recently. I'll probably get 10 of them today now.
well, not, you shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
I just was curious about this, so I asked the question, can we still remain as this was on a per call basis, but just increase the amount per call?
We would only bill Humboldt County for the time spent in Humboldt County.
I mean, I think we're fine keeping our sharing agreement, but we would like to be on a per-call basis.
Yeah, that's my point exactly.
If we need to bump up our mileage or our per hour rate,
In this agreement from 2014, it states that environmental health services to Humboldt County not to exceed 20 hours per week unless authorized by Humboldt County. So you guys in 2006 and 2014 authorized basically a full-time position with Pocahontas County, authorizing 20 hours per week. But we've only been billing you for the time spent for the services in Humboldt County.
Kind of understanding, we'd like to keep it that way, instead of this other proposal is be entering into agreement where it's just splitting it down the middle for the total. But that's kind of been the discussion, I mean, we need, and I would agree with Ann, that you want a qualified person, but I think it still behooves our county, not being a humongous county, populous or otherwise, that on a per needed basis, kind of as stated in there, not to exceed the 20 hours, we pay a little bit more, like Rick said, bump it up and maintain our per call basis versus just taking the total and splitting it in half. That's what I'd like.
I mean, I think what Eric's trying to say is, if your county feels you have the need for all these other programs, you go ahead and hire someone, and we'll help pay for them, but on a basis of per call basis.
Exactly. Not,
I don't know.
Not taking the total and splitting it in half, and we pay half, they pay half.
Right.
Because the way it was written before, yeah, full-time would be better, but then that would mean that person would be, hopefully by appointment, available all during the week in both counties. A lot of these things, water testing, that, you set up an appointment anyway, so it's usually not too many emergencies,
No.
and they would be available, and we would be willing to pay more.
And so, just thinking, because in my office, we fill out, in every 15-minute increment, we track what we do. So if this person was spending time corresponding with your newspaper, doing a press release or an article about the grants to counties and what could be done as far as well tests, well rehabilitation, well plugs, or an advertisement for National Radon Month for the month of January, that would have to be billed to your county as well. Any time spent that this person would correspond with the Record Democrat would be billed to Pocahontas County. But as far as, if you guys aren't interested in promoting environmental health programs in addition to just servicing a few water tests, well rehabs, and doing time and transfer paperwork for realtors for septic inspections, I need to know that. Because I'm not gonna have this person promote those environmental health programs in your county if you just wanna pay for time for meeting with someone for a water test, is what I'm asking.
We're looking for the essential services, and we want them performed adequately and timely, but,
I'll just state it bluntly, there's so many government programs out there that, oh, we'll create a job, and they try to stay busy doing it. And I feel like this is one of those type of positions. I mean, I'm pretty blunt about that. 'Cause
Well, I agree, I mean, that's why that grant money is, you can get some grant money if you do this program. And not that they're bad
the grant
programs.
money's available the way it was before. Every
Right.
time you close a well, we submit it through the auditor's office, and they get refunded.
Right.
I said, we want a qualified, reliable, accessible person to do the needed, required things, environmental health. But like Rick said, the extracurricular stuff, not bad, but if it's a make-work thing,
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you know, it's just not flush with money out there these days for all these programs. We've had a lot of extra expenses with this COVID crap. And, I just don't feel it's a time to develop another full-time position for something like this, if we can avoid it. That's my
Didn't we,
feeling.
this is, last year's, sheet for that position, we allocated $16,000.
Mhm. And we spent the year before, how much? 15 something?
Yep, 15.2, or excuse me, $15,020 in 18-19.
And now we
In
want,
agreement, now's not the time to be adding extra to our budget, I think we can.
you know, if we're sitting here flush with money, oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
But we're not, so we gotta try to maybe pursue other avenues.
what's wrong with just keeping it relatively the same and bumping up the...
That's what I'd like to, that way, you know, if you guys feel you need a full-time position, we can do it on a per-call basis, you know.
That's the way
That's what I-
So much an hour plus mileage, that type of deal. That'd help pay for your full-time, but I don't feel it's necessary to be a full-time for us.
That's where you're gonna have to be very specific of what you want for your county then. And
Yes,
that's
basically.
If you don't want, you know, programs promoted in here, I don't know, I mean, I think about the grants to counties, maybe it would be better just to split it. We hire our own part-time person, and you guys hire your own part-time person, because I have fielded so many calls since September 14th with frustrated taxpayers, and maybe I should just handle the frustrated taxpayers in Pocahontas County then. Because I would like this person to promote some programs more. I honestly want things done by the book. Things were not done by the book in the last few years, even with the notary on the paperwork. You can't have a family member notarize a document. That would be the time, I guess, that both counties need to decide where they want to go for the future with this position.
Okay.
Well, I guess,
I mean,
I think we all stated the way that if you're,
I think it would be, I can see your thought process on it, and I would think that maintaining the agreement on an as-needed basis, knowing that, yeah, we probably can live without some of the other extracurricular hoopla, government business, but, and willing to increase it, that would be helpful, you know, it's still nice that you're getting a good qualified person, and we have them here on an as-needed basis, not to exceed 20 hours a week. And we can pay them a little bit more for the time.
And the other thing that you guys saved money on was me supervising that position, the administrator. That was not, it didn't look like to me that in previous years that has been split out at all in the Pocahontas County budget. Palo Alto and Emmett County just hired a new person at $45,000 for a full-time position. It's a real struggle to have a part-time person covering two counties with the area of both counties, so.
What I don't want us to end up in our county is not having, you know, basically it's an on-call or as-needed sanitarian, if you wanna call them that. than the headache of getting one. You know, and I don't know, I guess we haven't got to the point of checking with other neighboring counties for a similar agreement either, but...
The other thing that just came to mind is my, basically my fiscal manager in my office has been doing the monthly billing for, the grants to counties too. I'm not for sure, her time was listed on that billing, but we're also doing, you know, the paperwork for that, the billing process, and supervising as the person. So that would have to be something that Humboldt County would take over, the billing process for that grants to county money, and also the supervision of that position. If you wanted that person to directly report to you guys. But there is a requirement for this person to attend, local board of health meetings every month or submit a report. That time would have to be billed to the county as well, for that person attending your local board of health meeting. If the position was still shared, I'm just trying to think of, you know, every little, try to cover all of our bases here and thinking about which way to move forward.
Well, can you go back to your board and just tell, I think our position or thought process is to maintain a shared agreement with whomever you hire, and we're willing to pay a bit more to do that, but we're really not in favor of taking the total and splitting it down the middle. Is that
Yeah,
all right?
because, you know, it's not the same workload, because you don't know from year to year, it could change immensely. That's what I look at. Why don't you go back and talk to them, you kinda know how we feel.
And we can update our 20-year agreement with
We'll,
them.
maybe explore some options with other counties surrounding us, or maybe put a feeler out and see if we can get somebody here locally to do it.
I'm not willing to spend, an extra $20,000 on what we've already allocated for the last couple of years, and I'm not saying we don't need some of the programs and the grants and whatnot, but by the same token, that's, too huge of increase in my opinion.
And you don't know when they're gonna get those grants all the time either. I mean...
Well, sooner or later, we're gonna run out of grants.
Yes, by God.
I would like to look into this a little farther.
Hopefully it gives Ann and her board some direction. I think we've
Yeah.
stated our pretty much consensus of what we're thinking and like to see it, how we'd like to see it. And I guess that's kind of what the discussion was stated for today.
My board of health meets at the end of the month, so,
Okay, get back to us what your thoughts are.
okay, I'll let you know what they say.
If we have any
Thank you.
thing on our end, we can send word.
And you can maybe give us, an idea of what the costs would be, because you mentioned several things that you've been doing that you don't think you're being compensated for. You know, you mentioned all the paperwork involved. Okay?
Yeah, it would have to be detailed as far as, you know, what programs, if we were to enter a joint agreement, we would need to know specifically what you want done in the...
No, I was referring to the fact that you said you were doing some of our, you know, filing these fees and supervision and those type of things.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
We aren't gonna, I mean, that's
Okay.
like sitting in the waiter.
Uh-huh.
They don't have fees on it, they get to spend them extra money.
I didn't care for it.
Okay, anything we want to discuss for a few minutes? We got about 7 minutes before we go into,
You got to 9:45 or past that?
Yeah. Got that process.
oh, I'm sorry, I jumped into that. Okay, I thought that probably should have been in.
You wanna
Should
go
that be
to
in
drainage?
drainage? No, it probably isn't drainage, because it isn't.
We've already visited it once.
Okay,
It isn't.
all right, I see Bruce is here. We gotta revisit and discuss possible action on the approval of construction of a private tile crossing within the county right-of-way of Watuska Township, Section 7. Okay, Bruce, what do we have for information? Do we have our maps showing the route the slopes, those type of things that we do.
Yeah, that's the map that I gave you with all the descriptions on the second page.
Do you know what the slope is of this tile? The degree it's gonna be laid at? Bruce?
2%.
2%. Well, at a 2%, I think the coefficient rating of an 18-inch is less than 3/8 instead of a half. I don't know if Prinsco has a different schedule than the ADF. But, ADF has a chart on, that you can punch in the numbers and it tells you what that is. Just so you're, you know, 'cause the issue I have is, down the road, I don't wanna have to revisit this and say we need another tile because it ain't big enough.
Did you say it's close to 3/8?
Close to 3/8. If you increase your, you know, get it to a .3, then it's, it would be closer to your half.
It's based on housing acres also.
Yeah, based on the 352 acres.
You know, there's some surface drained out, so your coefficient's figured on the percentage measure. You have two factors go together.
So,
I just don't see any particularly different information here than what we've seen previously.
Well, he does have the start and how far it goes
Okay,
from your points to here and there, to the west side of the road, east side of the road, with the degree of elbows, 'cause we're doing a perpendicular crossing of the road.
well, so that 66-degree elbow basically lines it up, is that, am I understanding that correctly?
That's the way I understood it, was that's the fittings that they're gonna use to connect with the perpendicular crossing.
right, I assumed that myself.
Dan, what do you make of this, given Rick's,
Just pulling up, an ag calculator that I got here with 352 acres and a 2-degree grade, a 1-inch drainage coefficient, minimum size for a dual wall would be an 18-inch, which is what we're running. I'm sure you guys would be well within your rights to have some sort of formal signature with this group, that they won't come back asking for another tile line in the vicinity for,
ever?
well,
Well, you can't
Well, you
say
can't
for-
say ever.
forever, but I mean, you can specify a time frame. And I think Bruce and them would be more than happy with some sort of agreement
That would make me feel better.
for that, and that would cover us as the county of having to come back and put in a...
Flip another one
tile
through there.
line. Yep.
Which, if we'd had the quote-unquote technical information from the get-go, could've had, that decision made, but that's a fair question.
No, I mean, I'm fine with the information we have now. I can't make motion for it.
I'd make the motion that we approve it if we have that signatures, that we don't have to worry about it in a, I don't know whether to put five years on it? You wanna put 10 years on it?
I'm thinking 50.
Well, I don't have a clue, I'm just,
What's a
I'm,
comfortable timeframe for you, Bruce? What do you guys say?
$15-year.
15?
That'd be fine with me.
Make the motion to approve the crossing as, with the information that we have here, and, I'm trying to, is there a location on this?
Section 7, I think?
Section 7, I thought too.
Section 6, field
Six.
section 6.
Section 6. With a 15-year, that they aren't gonna come back and ask the county to put another crossing in it.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in
With their
favor?
signature, with their signatures for
With the
15 years.
signature on the 15-year
That's
agreement.
gotta be an
Do not-
official document.
Well, this whole process has to be recorded in the recorder's office when it's done. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's gonna make up that?
I got it.
plan so we can sign it?
I can work with John and just get something typed up, formal, and, I don't know, could we just say one of their representatives, because they represent, Leadville represents, the large shareholder of the ground, and they've all got an agreement where they're all signed in together, so can we just have one of the representatives sign it on
I'm not
behalf?
sure about that.
I'd rather have one of the owners.
Or, that's what I mean, one of the owners sign?
No, I think you're gonna have to have them all.
I don't know if you'd be able, I don't know if you'd
Just
be
send it to
able,
Brett and he can pass it out.
yeah, I would think he'd
We
be...
just had well, it was a private, this is a private agreement, stated the drainage district, and they required all landowner signatures on that to make that official.
But if they-
Rick said it was handled through their attorney, he sent the documentation.
Yeah,
got the
he's
signature.
already got the first one out, so
Right.
he just needs to mail it out, have them sign it, send it back.
Yep,
That's what I would think.
Then it can be recorded.
yep. Yeah, I don't think you can have one person sign on behalf,
Works for me.
Okay.
I'm just trying to...
I know, I'd rather expedite it, but I'm pretty sure you can have everybody's signature on the agreement.
So we can go ahead and start digging, all right?
Get your shovel.
Tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right,
What's the pay estimate? We got,
we're going to drainage.
Oh,
Motion to go into drainage.
Second.
You got a first and a second, all in favor?
aye. Have a
Okay,
quick kick.
we'll turn this over to you, Kim. You have a pay estimate for, Peterson excavation. Is it on, DD 10, I believe?
Okay, did you get copies of the,
I didn't see
I
anything.
haven't seen it.
No.
okay. This is the initial amount received of $40,000, and what is due is the $50,000, or $51,093.
Mhm. That would be keeping the retainage back, the way it looks.
So we're retaining how much?
There's still about 9,000 left on a $100,000 project.
Yeah, it was $101,000 with a 10% retained.
40's been paid, and he's requesting 51. so-
101,770. He's requesting 40,
I know he's still fixing a few pipes out there.
Not entirely done, no.
No, but it's mainly just pipe
Close,
work.
though. Close on the pipe.
Yeah, he's done the leveling. It looks like he did a great job. I know he mentioned to me he wants to clean out, not that one, that's a different project. He wants to clean out a tube under a road, but
Yeah, Bob Well, I think, yeah, maybe even Rick might have mentioned it when him and Travis were in here, but yeah, because of the nicer than normal weather, they've got a lot, they aren't done, but they've got a lot more of the pipe replacement done than they thought they would, so.
I'll make a motion to, pay the $51,093 even to, Peterson.
I'll second Dave's motion.
Okay, we got a first and a second on the pay estimate number 2. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Anything else for drainage?
Just a few signatures at the end of this.
Okay.
I have just a thought, just a quick thought, not too much time, but, I don't know if this is what Rick was thinking about, but it's in DD 6. I think there's some more cleaning that needs to be accomplished. There's been some done, but they actually started upstream instead of downstream, and it appears the downstream is in need of...
A little touch-up.
Yeah, something similar, nothing that we gotta decide today, I just wanted to get your mind around that. We've been accomplishing a lot of these clean-outs, to what degree, with work orders. I think that's one that can be handled with a work order.
Yeah, it's 2 sections, so it shouldn't be...
Yeah, but it is, good work done up above. There's an issue with under the road crossing, it's gotta be addressed, but I'm talking with, Peterson's did the original cleaning, and they said really addressing that road crossing doesn't do a whole lot of good till the lower portion gets cleaned out.
Yeah.
So, I think it's something we need to get our mind around for being done maybe this year yet. And just a thought.
But it sounds like it's only gonna be, I mean, it wouldn't take a...
No, they're aware of it, because they did the original work,
Right.
and then I think this is not a project, quote unquote, like DD 10 and, DD 18 are. I think this is just a matter of, I think everybody knows the concerns, we can accomplish it with a work order, and so that was my
Yeah,
thought.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I went out and looked at it, and I could see even this time of year that the water in section, I think is 11,
Yeah, it's 11 and
is
14.
a lot higher than it is in 14.
And do you understand the fact that, I think it's Roosevelt Avenue, that there's concern?
That's where they...
There's concern on that, crossing pipe, but until the cleaning gets done, addressing that doesn't do much, until you get the downstream full.
Yeah, we'll work with your contractor to have them, I think what they were talking about doing is basically using a high-pressure pump and blow the pipe out, because there is a foot or two of dirt on the upstream side.
Yeah, until the downstream is, the project's completed, then they'd address that, so.
Okay.
Just a kind of a little future drainage,
Okay,
that's all I had.
I don't have anything else either.
Motion to go out of drainage.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, back in general session.
We need to go into Kansas.
Yeah, we better get Trish back in here.
I'll go get it.
Okay.
That shouldn't take long for that,
No.
like 12 or 14 votes, I think.
Yeah, I think
What I
so.
saw in the paper, the foreman, or maybe it was Donovan's report.
Make a suggestion, if we run into another county paid for tile crossing, we get it squared away from the start. And state specifically, because this has dragged on far too long, we would approve it and and I think, I'm not blaming us, because, I think
We have to ask if we're
between everyone involved county-wise gave the correct information that needed to be followed, it wasn't. And I still am hesitant that we should have had this information in a correct form 6 months ago.
If they would've had an actual engineer report, but the code doesn't require it.
I know, and we agreed to do it because, and with...
Gotta follow the code.
But I think it was not the way
Would've
that
been
he would like to see it.
It would've been a savings for them to have their engineer's report in the
Yeah.
long run,
Yes.
if they would've done
It
it.
would've expedited the project, and it would've made it easier decision for the county.
Okay. We have to canvass, Well, first we gotta...
Convene as the Board of Canvas.
Yes.
Make a motion.
Second.
Got a first and second to be reconvened
Recess.
to Board of Canvas. All in favor?
Aye.
Sandy there?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't see her.
Well, we got four.
We got three,
Or three,
so
excuse
we
me.
are, motion carries. Okay. We are now, Board of Canvassers for the city election of Hardy for a councilman position.
It's gonna be a really hard one, but I don't know how Peggy did it before. Did she just have you guys read the vote?
Well, what,
And then mark it, or?
she has her tabulation sheet that she kept track of them on,
Then we would read the
the sticker, the tape.
tape.
It wasn't a tape because it was, this is just for the OBI,
Well,
which is
we can read the book.
sight impaired. So it was written in the book.
We can read that. I'll read it for you.
18 votes,
I thought there was like 20, less than 20.
and then she just had you, there's two persons that tabulated it here.
Do you guys wanna fight for this?
You wanna take that responsibility?
Yeah, you can have it.
Did you wanna write it, or do you want me to write it?
You just keep track, make sure that matches your book, you read.
I have, hopefully I'm gonna read the name right. Terry Lynn Civic?
Right, yeah.
Civic. I have 6 votes for them. And then I have Dennis C. Lipple. I have 12 votes.
And no write-ins?
And there's no writings there. And that's the same page, total of 18 votes, so 6 and 12, and my book is 18. No writings.
Sign the back of it.
I think all this sign somewhere on it. Where's that on yours?
Oh, she's got the
You
book
got the
here.
one we signed.
It's not.
Okay, it looks to me like Denny Whipple was the winner of the city councilman vote, with 12 votes, and to the second place was 6. So he is the new council member for Hardy.
So do we need to declare, or is that what you just...
I think I just did that.
He determined, it says determined, I think we determined it.
Determined it, I
haven't. I think we're done.
we don't vote on any of that stuff, do we?
Nope.
Nope.
Nope, just have to determine it. Determine.
And I think you need to call him and confirm it with him, I'm sure he knows it, but you also need to have confirmation. Okay,
I would move that we adjourn as the Board of Canvassers and reconvene as the Board of Supervisors.
Second.
I have a first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Who was second? Sorry.
I seconded, I'm sorry. Eric,
Okay. Gotcha.
is that it?
I think so, so we are back into general session. Do you have anything else for us, Trish?
No, I do not.
Motion to adjourn.
Well, that's fine, I got one thing that we...
You got her in here before we got a second, so you're good.
Well,
I'm not,
we're just gonna put, as I said in what I did this past week, I have a really solid program and number for weed control. Please put on next week's budget to approval, and this is all I ever asked for, but this, and I'll give you a copy of this, and, we just need to put on the agenda to approve the, quote for the program.
Okay.
And that's all we ask, Don asks is that it's approved, and we give him a copy, and it, is for insurance, it's approved, that we approved it.
Yeah.
And then it shows that his insurance kicks in. So
Covered.
Yeah, I mean, we have insurance too, but he needs this on file, obviously. So if we can get this on for approval next week, we'll be done, and I do have, as I said before, the number for the budget, so that's all I got.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first,
Okay,
second.
we make it, motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Okay, we're gonna have a little...
Sandy, I used your stamped, the book for your signature. Yep.
I'm gonna step out for a little bit, take a short
Yeah,
break.
make that, copy of that, or you can give it